welcome to Lodden Pod. My name is Frida, one half of this podcast, and you can find me on Instagram as Frida. We also have an Instagram account for the podcast, and everything should be linked down in the description. Before we begin, I want to say thank you so much for the great response I got on the last video I put out. I am a bit shocked, but very grateful for all of your kind messages and comments, and that so many of you wanted to subscribe. Thank you. It's quite weird. I think I'm gonna move around a bit and try and figure out what my filming style is. I know that, I would like to find a spot that is the filming spot so that you don't get distracted by a new background every time. So I'm trying out this one. I'm right next to a window, so it might be a bit too bright. I hope not. We'll just have to deal with it, and then we'll see. Anything else? I don't think so. So, while I have been busy knitting away this last month since I filmed the last episode, I can't really show you much of it. I have done a few test knits for other designers, and I also have a few secret projects of my own. And so for this episode, I figured I would go through that pile we all have of UFOs or things that need mending, the piles we tend to ignore. The inspiration for this came from Moonstone Makes. She currently has I don't know if I should call it a make-along, where you find your either UFOs or maybe something that you need to fix, and then you have to choose whether or not you finish it, fix it, or frog it, or rip it back. So I thought I would go through this pile of mine and discuss what I intend to do with them. And maybe we might even get to work while I'm here. Let's go get them. Let's go through them, shall we? So I have my pile at my feet. It's bigger than I thought it was. I guess that's what tends to happen when you shove it in a closet and just pretend it's not there. But I think it's manageable, and especially with this fix-along, I hope to get to the bottom of the pile fairly quickly. So let's just pick something. I think the first thing is something fairly recent. It's just taken a while. It's in this bag. And let me just tell that quickly. My birthday was in the middle of January, and because of the strict guidelines to how and where we can meet and travel in Oslo now. I wasn't able to meet anybody for my birthday to celebrate, but I had to go to work. I currently have an internship at a spinning mill. And so my boyfriend came to pick me up after work, and he took a weird way home, but I figured it was just a way for us to see something new. And then he sort of introduced that he wanted to give me an experience for my birthday, because I tend to like that. And he and my friend Nora had been chatting away to surprise me. So Nora had made this bag for me, and it's perfect because green and pink is my favorite color combination. Green is my favorite color, but with pink, I love it. So this is extremely perfect for me. And then she had filled it with some yarn that she and I bought together. Was it in 2019 maybe? I think so. We bought it at a Viking market, and both loved it. They had 6 skeins and we ended up buying 3 each. But then she found out that she wouldn't knit with it, and the plan was that I would buy it back. But now she gave it as a birthday present, which was so kind. And with the bag and everything, it's too much. So now I'm trying to figure out what to give her. But yeah, in this bag I have the stockings that I've been working on forever, it feels like. I'm working on the design with these ones, and these are samples that I'm knitting for Helena, or Fabel Knitwear, because she dyes this and she wanted some samples of socks in her yarn. This is Athena, the base, so it has a bit of shimmer in it, and the color is Erebor. And I haven't enjoyed the last few rows, let's just say, but I'm very close. I have to figure out the edging, which is why they are still here, but I'm very close to finishing them, so these will get finished. And in that same ballpark, let's see, we also have the ones that I'm knitting for myself. I did mess up a little bit, so I had to rip them back quite a lot. So this is how far I've re-knit on my stocking, but again, these are gonna be stockings, so I have quite a lot left. But yeah, I also really want to knit these so that I can wear them. This is again Athena from Helena, and this is in the color Godric's Hollow, I think. Yeah, these will be finished. I just don't really know when. I want to get them finished like now, early in the year, but I just don't want to knit on them, to be honest. So I think I'm just gonna leave them at least out February so that I can focus on some other stuff, and then maybe get back to them in March and have a fresh view on them and not be so fed up. But yeah, both of those are things I want to finish. We also have this. This is the beginnings of a 40s top, lace knit top, but it's been lying in my like knitting chest for I think close to 3 years now, and I didn't want to rip it back because I thought it was too much work to redo it, but I think I'm just gonna rip this out. It's also, I think, way too big for me. When I look at it now, it stretches so much that, yeah, I think I'm gonna rip this back. And I know I have quite a lot of yarn left. What I used for this was what was it? Sandnes Garn babyull Lanett. So it's a baby yarn superwash. I really like how it knits up. I think it looks really nice for that type of vintage t-shirt top thing. But because it's superwash, it also needs to be washed fairly frequently because it doesn't have the self-cleansing properties of ordinary wool. And so while other tops I can wear over and over and just air out, in between the ones I have in this type of yarn, I have to wash almost every time I wear it, and I don't think that's very nice, and so I have decided not to use that anymore. But there are several people in my family and among my friends who are expecting children very soon, and so I figure that I can use what's left to knit, I don't know, rompers, cardigans, anything to babies. We'll see, but this will be ripped back. I also have a skirt. Well, I think it was last summer. No, summer of 2019, I think. I designed, wrote up a pattern for a skirt inspired by the 40s and got this far. I think I cast on maybe between 600 and 700 stitches. So there's a fair amount of work here, but I got disinterested. And now I'm not so sure that I'll actually wear the color. So I think I'm gonna rip this back and see if I can either over dye it. I think I'm gonna try that out with a swatch at least. And if not, I'll give it to my mother or make something for her, or see if somebody wants to buy it off me or swap. Yeah, this icy light blue isn't really my type of color. I don't feel very comfortable wearing it. So I think I have to rip this back and give the yarn to somebody else. But yeah, it's a lot of work, and I don't enjoy having to rip back all of that work, but I think it's better than just having it there and staring at me and telling me that I should have done this or should have done that. So yeah. The things we have left are maybe the funnier ones. These are the ones that tell a tale of gauge. I can go with the first one. This is a Minerva cardigan by Fabel Knitwear, and it's her plain cardigan, and I wanted to knit that first, so as my first pattern by her, to see what I thought and try something simple before I went to one of the more complex designs. And this, I believe, is from right about when I started getting back into knitting. So I've knit since I was about I think, 4 or 5, and knits a bit every year. But for a few years ago, I got way more into knitting, and I think this is at the beginning because I totally messed up the gauge. It's very tiny, it's very small. To me it looks like a, I don't know, 5-year-old size, but with really long arms. And I knew something was wrong fairly early, but I just didn't want to rip it back. And you know when there's something wrong, but you just keep knitting and ignoring it and just like, no, it's gonna be fine. I can block it so it's bigger, and I can just have a bigger collar and a bigger button band and it's gonna be fine. Yeah, so I thought that way all the way through. I even picked up the collar and knit it longer to see, but it's so small. I don't know what I was thinking. I'll see if I can overlay some footage of me trying it on, because I can squeeze into it, but it's a real squeeze. So yeah, I really love this yarn. This is also dyed by Helena, Fabel Knitwear. This is on, I think it's a base that has 1 strand of superwash and 2 strands that aren't, because it feels a lot more woolly and like it has more substance than the Athena, which is a lot more slick. And I think it's a really gorgeous color. I think this would be, if I can remember, King's Foil maybe? I think so. Yeah, I really love it. So I think I'm gonna rip this back and wash the wool so that I can use it for another project, because I have quite a lot of it left as well. So I would have enough for a cardigan for my size and an actual adult size. So I think I'm gonna do that. Maybe I can knit something from it this spring. It's a very nice spring color, soft sagey green. But yeah, we'll see what inspires me. But yeah, this is gonna be ripped back. I can't believe it. I feel so stupid. But yeah, this is an example of, you might have very small gauge or tight gauge. We also have the opposite, where this just became so loose, and I've tried to rewash it and sort of block it, but opposite, so you can scrunch it in while it dries, and then it should sort of dry smaller. I tried that, but it didn't work, and it just makes my shoulders look extremely wide, and all of the ribbing is just super loose and floppy, and just, this does not look good on me. And it's a shame, because I really, really love the pattern, but I think with the gauge problems, and also probably that this pattern won't look great on my body shape, I think I'm gonna give this away. I don't know if I want to sell it or give it away or what. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with the knit itself, so I don't know, but it can't stay here because it's just haunting me at this point. I do have quite a lot of the yarn left. I really love this color, but it's finnull, Rauma finnull, and so I will be able to get more yarn. So if I were to sell this and people or the person buying it would like to knit longer sleeves, just like rip back this bit and knit a bit more, I could send the yarn with the top so that they could alter it as they wanted. So we'll see about that. Oh, there's hair everywhere. Shed like crazy. Well, if I am to sell it, I will definitely wash it and freeze it first. Not that we have anything here, but I'd like to do it in any case. Just it's nice. It's nice to take the extra precaution. And then there's this. I think I talked about this in one of our early episodes. This was a surprise gift for my boyfriend a few years ago, and it was awful. It's based on a vintage pattern, but I had to scale it up because he's bigger than the vintage patterns. They are very small, these patterns. And I wanted it to be a surprise, so I didn't tell him, and thus he couldn't try it on. And I tried to match it up with his other like hoodies and everything, which worked for most of it. It is big on him, but it's supposed to be like a warm, cozy cardigan, so that's fine. But the sleeves, yeah, it was a hot mess. It was too big and too long in the arm's eye, but also it billowed in a strange way, and it was just not very nice. And so we decided that I would just open up here and then re-sew the sleeves, or at least the top of the sleeves, so that it would shorten the sleeve a bit and it would fit a lot better here. And so we opened it, so here you have one of them. But this was such a struggle for me to knit. I was extremely demotivated. It is huge, and so it took forever, and I am a lot more of a self-knitter. I knit for myself, and I knit primarily for the end product, not for the process, and so this was not very fun. So when it didn't turn out perfectly, it has just been lying there, and yeah, I'm still not very happy with it. I still have like that weird feeling, and I don't want to like deal with it, but I think it's going to be good for me to just fix it, and then I won't have to think about it anymore. So this is something I hope to fix fairly soon. If I can do it this weekend, I will be very happy, because then I won't have to think about it anymore. Another thing I regret is that I didn't know where it would look good to have buttons on him. I wanted him to try it on first. I also didn't have the buttons while I was knitting it, and so I decided that I could just add the buttonholes later. I could just sew them. And while that can work, sorry, I think my hair is falling apart. Here we go. I now regret it quite a lot. I don't mind sewing buttonholes. I just don't think it's going to be very fun to do it in knitwear. And so, yeah, I don't know how I'm going to solve it. Maybe I'll just, I don't know, maybe I'll just add some loops, and I can add them here rather than like at the edge, so that there's still an overlap. But I think it's going to look a lot better to have the proper buttonholes, and so that, yeah, it looks like it should, basically. So I hope I can fix this soon. I just don't want to. I did find the buttons after a while. I have these vintage buttons from the 50s. They are blue leather covered buttons, shank buttons. And I think it's gonna look fairly nice when I get it done, which I hope is soon. I just don't want to. Some of it's fine, but that last one is, yeah, I have a few more pieces to show you. I have, okay, this is very heavy and very big. This is my fox. I call it the fox. It's a huge jumpsuit with a hoodie with ears that I knit in the beginning of 2016. So we're closing in on 5 years, and I still haven't fastened the threads. I was fed up with it when I was done, and I also finished it while we were at a mountain hotel. So far up in the mountains, it was really cold. We had a blizzard, and I just wanted to wear it to keep warm, basically. And so as soon as I had got the zip in, I just figured I would wear it. I wouldn't care about these like things sticking out. And that made sense then and there. It was cold, I needed to wear it. Afterwards, I was just lazy, and then I figured I could say, oh no, but it's a fox, it's just like fluffy. But I'm past that point as well. I just, I think it looks very messy, and it's very obvious that I was lazy. So I think I want to fasten all of the threads on this. I did knit this, so it's oh, what do you call this, garter stitch? Yeah. And I didn't foresee how much it can stretch. And so I knit the legs way long, but it also is fine because it's sort of scrunched together. But when I like move in it, and if I jump, you can see the entire garment like bouncing around my body, which is really fun. And yeah, I have a lot of friends who want me to knit them this and constantly remind me, but I don't think I can do it. It's a huge garment. It's so much work, so much yarn. I mean, if they want it, they can knit something themselves. I don't think I will ever knit another one in this size. But it was actually a kid's pattern that I just thought was cute. And so I tried to scale it up. And I mean, it worked. And so the last thing I have to show you is an actual kids version of it. So I have the sleeves left and the legs left, but that's not too much on a kids version. And then adding the hood. I started knitting this for a friend fairly shortly after this one, when she got pregnant, and I was hoping that I would get it to her kid before she got born, but she's now 3 years old, and so that didn't happen. But now that a lot of my other friends and family are pregnant, I will try and finish this so that it can go to a good home. And I think it's going to be really good for a kid. It's warm, it's practical, and this is knit in the same baby wool that the vintage top was knit in. Actually the same color, the brown color here. And so it will be easy to wash, I think. So this will also get finished. Just don't know when, because this is not really inspiring for me. Yeah, we'll see. I'll keep you posted. Whenever I finish something, I'll keep you posted. And I don't know if I want to go through all of this, but I also have this mending basket of mainly socks that have holes that needs darning. These are socks that I knit for my boyfriend for his birthday last year. It's not going to be very visible, but it's my own design. I'm very, very close to having it finished and getting it out to testers. So that is very exciting. I have been working on this for like a year. I wrote up the pattern in March, or rather, no, I think it was March, when I started working on these. And then I've tried to grade it, but I was never happy with how that turned out because I wanted to be as inclusive as possible. And so this fall, I took a course with Swanky Emu Knits in sizing with spreadsheets. So you then enter your own measurements and then get a custom pattern for those measurements. And that was amazing. I got quite a lot further, but then I didn't like how it was formatted. I didn't like that it was a bit difficult to use, and I would like that you put your measurements in a table at the beginning, and then automatically all of the calculated numbers just appear in the pattern where they are relevant. So for example, the cast on number is just calculated and it says cast on this many stitches. And so all you had to do to knit for somebody else is to re-enter the new measurements, and then it would automatically change all of the numbers, and yeah. But I have been working on this. I have now started trying to teach myself some JavaScript, and I think I'm very close. So I'm struggling to get it out to people when it's not perfect, even testers. But I think I just want to force myself to get it out. I think it's more than good enough for a tester to look at it. It's not the prettiest quite yet, but it should be fairly understandable, and the math is correct. So yeah, in not very long I will be looking for testers for this sock. So this is a short sock with a needle bound edge. I also have the similar one. It's basically while trying to figure out the socks for my boyfriend, I ended up coming up with my own heel construction, which I have called the diamond heel. And I have also written up just like a vanilla pattern for a normal sock, so without the needle bound edge, which is a bit difficult maybe. I just don't want to call it a vanilla sock pattern. I think it's boring, it's used up. I guess people understand what it means, but Yeah, so if you have any suggestions for names for a plain sock that isn't vanilla sock, please comment below and we'll see. If I choose one of your suggestions, I'm sure we can sort out that you get the pattern for free when it's ready, at least. But yeah, I have all of this basket is just full of socks and stockings that need a bit of darning. And so I started this last Monday, having a live stream on my Instagram with Mending Monday, trying to force myself to mend something every Monday, and holding myself accountable by live streaming it. And then if any of you have anything you want to mend, you could do it at the same time, or just keep me company. I'm quite awkward still. I mean, I'm awkward now as well, I think, but even more so when it's live and I don't know what to talk about. So yeah, I think I'm gonna try and make a list of topics I could talk about and just go with that. If not, I think it's gonna be quite boring, just looking at me sitting there mending something in silence. But because it's mainly for me and for holding myself accountable, I guess it's okay. Yeah. What have you been knitting on lately? Like I said, I've been working on test knits and projects of my own. These last 2 weeks I haven't been able to go to work at the spinners because I currently live outside of Oslo, and we had a breakout of the, I think it's the UK mutation of the virus south of Oslo, and so all of the areas around Oslo more or less locked down, and I have gotten the message that I shouldn't go to work until our government basically says that I can again. And so while I've been home, I've been working on some projects with one of the yarns we spin at the spinning mill, Oslo. And so yeah, I don't know how much I want to talk about it in case, I don't know, it doesn't happen, or if it takes too long for me to finish it or whatever. But it's very exciting to get to work on that, which is why I don't have that much to show you. I guess from the last time I did finish this cardigan. This was the cardigan I just had the buttons left on in the previous episode. I would like to say that I finished it quickly and wore it on New Year's Eve, but I finished it today. When I decided to film today, I thought it was too ridiculous to not have finished it in over a month, when the only thing that was left was to sew on the buttons. So I sat down and I did that today. I'm still missing 2 buttons, which is why I'm wearing this brooch at the top. But my friend Miriam, and Miriam, that is my co-host actually of this podcast, said she thought she had at least 1 to spare after she used the one she bought for the project. So I'm hoping that's the case and that I can add them here. If she has 2, that would be amazing. But if it's 1, I can add maybe like a gold accent button at the top. We'll see. But yeah, I finally finished it, and I'm very, very happy that I did. I also finished this shawl, the woodlark shawl that I was working on last time. I finished this on the 14th of January, I think, so I used maybe 3 weeks or something to knit it. I thought that I had messed up the gauge a little bit, so it was a bit too short, and I really wanted a long shawl. And so I figured I would just add a few rounds, and so let's see. From underneath here, I added this much. Yeah, so all of this plain here, and then this last little border, and then from the bobbles and down, it's the pattern again. So I added quite a lot. And when I blocked it, it turns out that my gauge was fine. It just didn't look like it because of the way it's knit. So it's knit in the round. And so instead of being 170 in like wingspan, it's now over 200 centimeters, which is huge, but it's also very nice and very cozy. I did do a few alterations other than knitting. In the pattern, she says to knit this last bit, the garter stitch, in the round as well, but she also mentions that the ends can curl up a bit, and I figured that was because it's knit in the round, and then you have to steek that bit as well. So I ended up, after I was finished with these scallops, I cast off the steeking stitches, and then I just knit the garter stitches at the bottom, or the garter rows, back and forth. And I think that made it a lot more, it's straight and neater at the bottom, so I'm very happy I did that. I also didn't want to knit up like the cover for the steek stitches, because I think it might be too bulky and I don't want that. So I did the old Norwegian thing to do, and that's to add one of these pretty what do you call it, ribbons? Yeah, so it's a woven ribbon basically, and so it's a lot less bulky. It's quite flat and nice, and I'm very happy that I found the colors I did, because the the green plötulopi I used has a few like specks or tweedy bits of both yellow and blue, so I thought it actually matched quite nicely. So yeah, this is finished, and I've worn it tons, and it's so warm and cozy. So I can highly recommend knitting it. And I think she just came out with another pattern knit in the same construction, so color work shawl, knit in the round, and then steeked. So yeah, I wonder how long it's going to take to become comfortable and not rush through everything in a podcast. I don't know. I hope it's not going to take too long. I also hope that I can find a style that suits me, both in the way I film and also in my editing style. But until then, I think I'm gonna test out a few options, see which one feels right. And I'm also looking for a computer, and so when I get that, it will be easier for me to actually edit these videos, because right now I have really weak computers basically, and even editing a small video filmed on my phone is too much, and they crash and they turn off, and is ridiculous. It's very, very frustrating. So I'm hoping that it's not going to take ages to edit this, but we'll see. And other than that, do you like having like a knit with me section at the end of podcasts? I know Knitting Traditions does that, and I think it's really nice. It's like a calm thing, and she will talk about Netflix, so things she watches while she's knitting. And I could probably do something similar if that's something you like. Right now I won't, because the things I'm knitting on are secret, but maybe later when I have something else that I can show you. And yeah, I think this was a bit of a weird episode, but I think maybe that's going to be the theme for the next few episodes until I get more accustomed to talking to a camera. Yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed this. Maybe you've had something nice to drink and could knit for a bit while I chatted along. And thank you again so much for watching. I am very, very grateful, and yeah, just thank you. And then I hope I will see you again in not very long. Bye.